Hey Vlad,
Hey Brian, how's it going?
good. Just we were all in the meeting earlier. Just listening in.
Nice, nice.
Wait, so that's interesting. Like your mine RL project.
Yeah, it's a huge project. We started this summer and we thought we will be able to accomplish one of the subtasks by the end
Yeah.
of the summer, but we actually um, were barely able to like make some of the basic algorithm implementations because realized that we wanted to sort of understand how stuff works. Not just grab the implementations and what people have.
So it's part of a it's for a competition too, right?
Yes. So the competition for this year was the admissions were closed September 31st. So we didn't quite make it for this one. So we'll probably do something for the next one. We'll actually have time to prepare.
Oh, but
Uh, yeah.
the next competition is going to be a different Well, actually, what are the requirements for the competition anyways? Is it like everyone had to do the mine RL, or that was just you guys' approach to like the submission?
So the competition itself has some strict rules. First, it is a reinforcement learning that is the main focus of this particular challenge is to come up with an agent that can look at um, the limited number of human demonstrations and based on that can perform in the Minecraft environment. So yeah, it is specifically the specific goal of acquiring the diamonds in the Minecraft, specific for this competition. There are other NeurIPS competitions as well for the reinforcement learning that are there. So if you're interested in that, you can do that as well. I'm not sure if they're going to do this for the next year. I think they first did it for 2019's NeurIPS conference. Um, Basically, um, yeah, that's actually also a good thing to mention that NeurIPS is one of the bigger conferences where if you get to present there, it's a very big thing. It's a very significant thing for you as a researcher if you were if your submission was accepted there, basically. Um, so yeah, the reason why they did this year is because the last year they weren't able to um, achieve this goal of mining the diamond. They were actually only able to mine some iron or something like that. If you're
Oh,
familiar with Minecraft environment,
yeah. I played
and
Minecraft when I was younger. It was
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, and also I think I need to actually look at it again, but I think one of the requirements is that the agent has to, once it's trained, it has to do this within 15 minutes of gameplay. So it has to speedrun really
Uh,
well,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is,
That's interesting because I mean, like, it's hard to find diamonds in general. So what would be like the most optimal path, right?
and the more of the bigger challenge is that you first need to um, do a very specific thing. First, you need to acquire wood. Then you need to do a very specific thing, acquire wood like several times. Then you need to craft something. I think they have somewhat simplifications for crafting. So like crafting is one discrete action, like one of the things that you can attempt to do at any time, I think. So maybe that's a little bit easier, but that doesn't make it easier that you need to efficiently navigate the environment and you first need to sort of do one subtask of acquiring the wood, then you need to do the next subtasks of um, maybe the general survival, like getting food or something like that. you need to do the next subtask of finding, breaking the cobblestone, like getting the stone, again making the next set of tools, and then finding the third thing. So that's other set of tasks. So
Well,
yeah,
it's pretty much just playing the game, just like not actually playing it. You're playing it with like reinforcement learning.
yeah, and the reinforcement learning agent has no clue what's the tree is, or what's the wood is, or what can be required to get wood, or like that's a big problem
Yeah.
because there's no this is why they give us 150 gigabytes of observation of um, expert human gameplay. So,
Wow.
yes, and the goal is basically learn from this observation, because this is observing the gameplay is something that you can use to uh, understand what's the reward. You get a chance basically to see when do you get the reward. Otherwise, you don't even get a chance to see what's the reward, because um, the chance that you will randomly perform in like 100 dimensional input 1,000 times, that you will randomly do that, it's just, it won't happen. So yeah. Hey Miguel, hey Felix.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
What's up, man?
Yeah, that just was talking a little bit about the Mineral thing, but yeah, we need to have lots of things to talk about and do today. Let me actually share my screen. Yeah, there you go. So for today, it'd be great to actually see what sort of we have. At this point, we have very limited time to prepare for our first committee event, which is on November 8th, yeah, November 6th, yes. So far we wanted to do workshop and to solve this car racing environment. And so far we have somewhat looked at, and I know not some of you didn't get a chance to look at the code. Um, so basically, we're facing that a little bit of problem that if we want to do the workshop, here are several things that we might need to do. That includes like understanding the sort of sample car racing code environment, like the working code, maybe understanding actor critic and more advanced algorithm that can actually tackle the car racing environment. And that will probably require us, very likely require us more than like 1.5 meeting time that we have left, basically, at this point. It will probably require putting in some more hours outside of the meeting time, which is like not guaranteed. So yeah, we'll also need to do like coding exercises and do some slides. And yeah, also training the model with for the car racing may take about 12 hours if we're not using like the pre-trained ones. So that's that can also be something. It's just something that requires a lot of time, because whenever you do the coding part, it will definitely take some time to understand how to actually implement something, and especially in a real algorithm, to just even such thing as coming up with efficient observations. What sort of input to your model you want to have? Do you want to just feed the observations, or do you want to do something smarter? Because in this complex environment, for example, you might want to do like several frames, just feed it several frames, or concatenate several frames in some smart way. So yeah, that's that. One alternative thing that we could do for the workshop is to look to do a workshop on a simpler environment like Carpool, or yeah, basically a simpler environment that will require tweaking the code less, I guess, and we also have some code. We do have some example code for car racing as well, but there are more things that we need to go through there. Yeah, so doing a simpler workshop, that's one that will require less time. Alternative is doing the paper reading for the event, which basically means reading through either policy gradients paper, like sort of understanding it and making sort of a presentation for it. All we need to do is go through the paper, come up with questions, and see what sort of questions people might have, prepare slides for it, and yeah, that's basically it. So we can do that on Actor Critic or Policy Gradients. Actor Critic is a slightly more complicated model, sort of a reinforcement learning algorithm that actually I saw someone using for solving the car racing environment. So it can be a segue into like working on the car racing environment later. So paper reading, I expect that it will, at least it will still actually need us to like do some hours outside of the meeting time, but it will take less hours generally to do that. And we could use the Actor Critic to prepare for the car racing later.
Yeah, Vlad. So I have a couple questions. So if there's no intent to dismissing this committee throughout the rest of the year, right? So we would probably be together until the end of the spring semester, or am I wrong?
Absolutely, we will be meeting throughout the spring semester. Yes, it's just we need to have something right now before like November 6th.
Yeah. So for that, I think that at this point, given that there's not that many of us, and that from previous workshops, the ones that I could attend, we were still getting introductory sort of lessons on see how everything works and understanding how everything works, rather than getting the hands-on. Perhaps could be a better idea what you proposed of doing one of the papers related to this project and preparing a workshop for early next semester that we could do for the car racing environment.
So preparing the workshop for the on the car racing for the next environment and doing the paper reading for this one, is that what?
Yeah, so basically doing a paper reading introduction, which will also help us understand the techniques behind the possible future workshop, and then in the future do the actual workshop and get hands-on in coding. But given
Absolutely.
the time we have, I think we're a little constrained, and someone pointed out, Felix, I think pointed out on the chat too, that midterms, projects, and other responsibilities got us also kind of hooked. So I think I'm more into the paper presentation. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree too.
Great. Okay, sounds like a plan. We do have Actor Critic paper that sort of, as I mentioned before, can be used to solve this particular environment. So, and I believe we haven't also presented it before. So this is something that we can definitely do. Awesome.
Given your experience, do you think it's too ambitious to present both papers?
Both papers? I think that it would be cool if we could focus on like preparing the slides and questions for this one. Also, there might be some background readings that we might want to do for Actor Critic, because, for example, Actor Critic is essentially combines two main, let's say, types of basic reinforcement learning algorithms. So it sort of combines policy gradients and value-based, if I get it right, actually. I will need to look into Actor Critic myself as well. But I would say that because we have this meeting and the next one, it would better be like to focus on one thing, and we'll have enough material for that.
Yeah. Just another question to follow up with that. Does policy gradient is involved in some sort of sense with Actor Critic, or are they completely unrelated?
I think that my understanding was that Actor Critic uses is somewhat similar to the policy gradients, or not really similar, but is something in the middle, like between Q-learning and policy gradients. But so in that sense, it might be based on, like, understanding policy gradients can give you an understanding of, I guess, the base for Actor Critic, but I also think that it can be standalone thing. Actually, I'm not sure about this one. I will need to look at it.
I am very unfamiliar with these two papers so far. So they both seem very interesting. So I'd love to go through both of them and stuff. So perhaps if you think, from what my understanding from what you're saying is that the Actor Critic might be a little bit more complex, involves some further reading. So perhaps we could focus on that one, given that we're not doing the workshop, but still we don't want to go with something super simple, right?
That sounds like a plan.
Right. And actually, even if the paper is not basic, we still can do it, because the main point of basically a paper reading is to, well, sort of enable people to get a high-level intuition of what's the paper is about, and that can often be done even without understanding of, like, every detail that is based that is on the ground. So for example, there's a lot of market decision process theory behind the reinforcement learning itself. So but you don't necessarily need that in order to understand policy gradients or other things. It would be beneficial, no doubt, but it is not vital to sort of get that understanding. So, yeah. But yeah, we can definitely do a critic.
Perhaps we could, after preparing the slides and doing the presentation, perhaps since the papers are mostly the theoretical background on it, and we could spark some sort of discussion within the whole club to see which sort of applications they might seem fit for this sort of algorithm.
Absolutely. And coming up with questions, I think it's a big part of like preparing the reading, because it really allows you to gauge people. That's a great point. Nice.
So is this where slides available on the chat? I mean, on the.
Yes. Do you have access to
I do have it.
ML members? Yeah. So ML members, committees, reinforcement learning, and there are all our. Let's see if I can share the link with you. There we go. ML members.
Oh, that. Whoops. Thank you.
Yes. So now it would be a good idea for us to sort of, we can start looking at Actor Critic today at the paper. And before that, we can sort of assign what part of the slides or what part of the questions, who wants to do what for this paper reading. So we can look actually at example stuff that we had for one of the paper readings before. Let's see, you can find it in committee events, club-wide events. So we had, for example, for summer, we had proximal policy optimization paper reading. Let me put it in a chat for you. Yeah, you can look at the format. So let's sort of think how we can distribute that. I guess we would need someone to do the introduction to reinforcement learning. Perhaps talk about the overview. What's reinforcement learning about? Yeah, let me actually write that down. And if you have questions, comments, ideas, feel free. So what we need to do. I guess it's sort of hard to come up with sort of the plan what we need to do before we sort of look at the actual critique and what we're going to actually present. I'm guessing that we will have some part devoted specifically to actual critique. Before that, it would also be interesting to go over simpler approaches, maybe policy gradients actually, like talk about it a little bit, how policy gradients and key learning in the specific algorithms.
Yes, I want to see the actual math. I'll be into
that. Yes, actually doing the math. That's one thing. Yeah.
Like, I know, for example, with a professor I had in statistics, he would usually give us the formula and work down the math and give us an example. And that's something I personally wanted to go into when I saw this when we read last week's session, so I could have a better appreciation of the formula and how I'm supposed to manage it, rather than just post a formula and say, this is what it is.
Yes, perfect. That's actually a great point. We could do that for policy gradients, and well, there's certainly no shortage of math here. So
that's exactly why I'm doing this.
Yes, that's great. I can specifically say that for Felix. And you will be able to present for that time. I know you joined like others. You will be able to present on Cloud Event. Actually, every person who are here in this list, you will be able to present, right? That.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I'm not in the list, but I'd love to take care of the sort of, not the entire questions part, but I'd love to see some sort of to ignite some sort of collaboration from the rest of the club. So I think it would be interesting to explore the option of having in some sort of debate after presenting the whole paper, which can be broken up into different sort of debate teams that are basically the rest of the other committees. And given a set of applications, have them defend and sort of counter on which sort of applications might be more impactful or more interesting to explore than others. So is sparking that sort of debate or interaction between the rest of the committees.
Nice, that's awesome. That'd be really cool. Okay.
Q&A section.
in the Q&A, I mean in the question section, because I don't think it's like a Q&A session. It's what Vlad referred to as questions was like questions that we might come up that are relevant after the reading of this paper. So if I understood that right.
That's yes, actually. So I feel like this can be two different things, like answering the question of what people found like somewhat not clear when they were reading the paper. That can be one thing, and the other thing can be coming up with different applications for what we've learned about,
Yeah.
and involving people in sort of like brainstorm what could be done, stuff like that. I think that be actually different stuff.
Okay, yeah. Then I got it wrong. So yeah, it's not directly a Q&A session. It's more of the sort of reflection after.
That's an awesome idea, Yo. I think that's involvement.
So applications.
Yeah, but the thing is that I think that because when you say that, you see how we just had the meeting and people like, yeah, some people have very, very strong ideas, very defined ideas, and they want to speak up. But they're not everyone, unless you point them out. Not everyone participates in a sense. So I think that by selecting some sort of possible applications and given the rest of the committee some time to think, okay, where are the pros and cons of these applications? What could be more impactful from these compared to these other applications, and sparking some sort of debate between them that we can sort of host. That could be interesting, because that way we make sure that everyone, at least on their own committee, they're involved in brainstorming and coming up with ideas for and against their application.
Okay, so application and engagement.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, you have a lot of ideas there, and since he's only using a couple of words, it's better to just narrow it down.
Yeah.
I mean, you're very passionate about it. That I will acknowledge and respect.
Yeah, the application dynamics or some sort of, I don't know, yeah, like workshop, or I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I just personally don't like hearing like someone with a title that has 5 words.
Yeah, no, yeah, makes sense.
Like, in a job, I met a lady who was in reception, and her title was literally about 7 words. And I was like, oh, so you're a receptionist. I'm like, yep.
That's awesome. So great ideas. Great ideas. What else? What else do we need? We'll probably need to come up with some questions. Yeah, right. So questions on about paper. So like confusion, the source of confusion. With engagement, and that's what we'll do. And yeah, so questions about paper can be another thing that I think that something that we can tackle like as a team, like several of us, not necessarily one person, or we can ask people throughout the presentation what sort of stuff is not clear, and sort of engage them as well during the presentation. So,
yeah, I really like the idea of brainstorming ourselves a set of questions and picking up a couple of those as a reference as example questions, and then leaving up to the discussion of the Q&A to have the rest of the people ask their own questions.
yeah, so this is something like what we would do after presentation, right? Yeah.
Also, so I think it would be interesting. I've been on a couple of Zoom presentations for now, and something I realized is you don't want it to be monotonous. You don't want the same person speaking for long periods of time. So since the paper itself, when we're running down through the paper, since the paper itself has different sections, maybe different people can present different sections.
Absolutely, we definitely do that. I think that's something that we can. Yes, let's actually take a look at the paper, and maybe based on that we can come up with different parts what people can present. So they actually do have some introduction and background reading, I guess. So we could divide that in several sections.
Yeah, 1 and 2 seem to be naturally coupled. So whoever was going to do the introduction on reinforcement learning can just present 1 and 2.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like introduction and Markov decision process. Let's see. Okay, and then the actor critic. I'm guessing that this will be the meat of the stuff, so maybe that might need more than one person. Let's see. Or maybe 3 and 4 could be done.
Which one's the math one? 3 and 4?
Well, the math is, you see, the math is in the introduction as well, and I mean in the background as well. So the math is sort of all over the place.
Guess I'll have to read all of it anyway.
Well, yes, we all need. So ideally, just we will present different parts.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but it's for me it's a couple hours ahead, and I have to go to a dinner. So I'm sorry, but I have to like get off the meeting a little early. So just please let me know if I miss anything important through the Slack channel, and I'll stay put to the drive to see what sort of sample presentations we've done in the past and how to start structuring and organizing this one.
Absolutely, Miguel. Also, we're recording right now, so the recording will be there as well.
Oh, awesome.
And
I'll watch it.
yeah, it's just I think for your part we're pretty sad that what you want to do, so we can sort of figure out what other people want to do.
Cool, cool. So I'll make sure I'll find the paper and start reading it this weekend.
Great, awesome, Miguel. Thank you.
Thank you,
The paper's
guys.
on the drive, right?
What's that?
This paper's in the drive?
It is in the link to this is in the slides for this week's presentation.
I linked it right now. Right there.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
And also, I think I'll do the overview and the number 2. I'm pretty familiar with those, and it'd be nice. It won't be too much of a hassle for me to like know the RL context of Markov decision processing and cost functions and stuff. So I think I'll do overview and maybe some background math.
Okay, great. That's Sedin, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So what other sections are there that's not taken yet?
So we have
The algorithm itself.
Yes, 3 and 4 are the algorithm. There's a lot of math, I believe, that Felix wanted to do some of the math, so he might want to do 3 or 4, or maybe do some commenting on 3 or 4.
Let's put both.
So
if I do 4, I have to know what happens in 3. And then we'll figure out later.
okay, cool. We can also we might need to look at the paper and see how it makes sense to actually divide the material in the
Yeah, that
presentation
seems-
itself. It might not be necessary to just go like as the paper is reading, like introduction and stuff like that. Yeah, we might want to do some other sections. We also have the conclusions. Who wants to do the conclusions? I guess the overview and the stuff. We'll probably do the transition to like questions and stuff like that. Yeah.
I think the main thing is the learning approach that it's taking and the convergence. Same thing as like it's going with. So it seems pretty clear with how they did it and how we can do it. But yeah, we should definitely read through it. I think 4 is a little more math heavy because you turn to calculations, seeing how uniform it is or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you want to like take 10 minutes to go over the paper and like sort of try to discern some other parts how we can focus?
So do we have a pretty solid plan on what we're doing? Because I feel like there's maybe some gaps on what's left to review or like separate.
Let's see. Right now, I wonder how to structure the presentation in general. Like how do we divide the math and how do we do the math part?
I mean, with the math part, I feel like we should read it first and find ways to be able to deeply understand it before committing to a section. But right now, I like how you divided it for now, so we can get a feel for it how we go along. But aside the math, the other parts of the presentation, I mean, I assume this is like you're expanding from your proximal policy optimization presentation.
Proximal policy, that's something that we can like try to do. This is something that we can look at and do something similar, but we don't have to like be specifically do something very, very similar to that.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Like I'm still going to review, let's see, where is it? Policy gradients, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just double checking. Because I'm going to leave in a bit. I want to make sure I get everything I'm supposed to review.
Yes.
And I noticed some of this is from the Berkeley lectures.
Oh yeah. They, by the way, there are extremely useful lectures if you got a chance to look at them.
I know, like I only saw first lecture, but it was very enjoyable and how approachable it was.
Absolutely. It's just a great lecture. That's he comes up with very spot on examples and builds a great intuition. So
Are there recordings by any chance with those lectures?
Yeah, they're
Berkeley
free.
lectures.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Sure. I'll leave the link in the general too later today.
I don't seem to have access to the folder or like the general ML thing. So if you can accept that sometime. I already sent a request, so
Okay.
yeah, just letting you know.
Okay, let me see. Can you share your? I'm not sure that I can see your request right now. Let me try to share it quick. I'm not sure if I can actually share.
I was just trying to click the first link that you shared in the chat for the Zoom chat.
By the way, are you using your SGSU?
Yeah, I
email?
switched. I switched and then I sent the request. So
Okay, cool.
for both of them, it doesn't work.
Hmm. Brian, did you have the problems with accessing Drive? I've sent you the link to Summer.
Yeah, let me try access.
Yeah, I got access now.
Setting. Okay, cool.
It works for me.
Nice.
Where's the link for the Berkeley lectures?
Let me see.
So yeah, I don't think making a presentation on it would be too hard. I mean, it just had to figure out some way to make it appealing with pictures, yet interactive.
Yes.
I really like the
Yeah.
way that in this policy automation slide that they deconstruct the math equation into some form of like visual representation, because not everyone will be able to understand the equation off the bat. So by connecting it to, let's say, like action, state, and state in the slide 14 is a really good approach as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We can also use something like that in our overview slides.
Yeah.
In the beginning. Yeah, that's super helpful. me share Berkeley's lectures.
Well, yeah, as for me right now, I wouldn't know what section of the actor critic paper to discuss or present yet, because I would need to like take the time to read it first too.
Okay. Also, regardless of what part we want, I guess not really regardless, but we could just all of us could pick the sections that for which we want to prepare slides, and we don't necessarily we need to present that part, but right now we can just pick that and make sure that that's what we want to work on. Or we could also just add slides, and whenever you read about something in the paper and you figure out, you come up with some useful maybe example or a analogy or maybe a visualization, then you can write that down regardless of whether that's something that you specifically want to present.
Yeah. I noticed that in the policy optimization slide, on slide 18, it promotes a rhetorical question. Would we be doing something like that too?
Well, you mean that it implies that it implies that something is wrong with policy gradients. Are we going to say that there are some problems with these basic algorithms, and here's how ActorCritic addresses that? Do you mean that? Are we
Yeah,
going to do that?
yeah, pretty much.
I
Like,
think that's
there's some problems with the algorithm, and there are different approaches to it.
Yeah, that's something. I think that's something that we can do, especially the same thing. We can actually also mention vanilla policy gradients, so we can also mention problems with Q-learning, because if I get it right, if I remember it right, then ActorCritic is somewhat more efficient. Not necessarily more efficient, but is better in some applications than Q-learning or policy gradients. So there's certainly something that we can do like that.
Yeah.
Do you want to look at like Q-learning or policy gradients specifically, so that you can sort of compare how ActorCritic is better? Is that something you want to focus on?
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting.
Nice. Okay, so that's comparing policy gradients or PU learning. ActorCritic.
Okay, I'm gonna call it a day. Gotta go. These 2 hours were interesting and very insightful.
Yep. Thanks, Felix. Lots of awesome ideas from you.
Yep. See you next week, guys, or sooner. Whatever appears in the chat.
All right, I'll see you, Phil.
See you, Felix. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else that we want to like think about right now, like to prepare for this week? Yes, there actually is something. We will need to set up a meeting for when to meet for the test run of our presentations. I will announce that in the general chat later, but basically we will need to set up some time before our actual presentation so that other officers can look and see,
Yes,
give us
I
some
guess,
feedback.
I guess we could do that like the week starting of like the workshop, because I mean into the following week right now would just be us constructing the PowerPoint, right?
Yeah, exactly. The following week is still work, and the week after, like the beginning of the week when we will be presenting, that's somewhat
Yeah.
within that. Better to do that.
Yeah, so like, and then we'll be presenting on like a Friday like usual because those are our meeting times. So
Yes.
yeah, the starting of the week would be good. Or like the weekend, leading to the week of the presentation.
Weekend could work. I was thinking that, of course, depending on how much time everyone has, we could look at weekends as well. I was thinking that if we could leave a little bit more time after the committee meeting after the next committee meeting, that would be beneficial.
Yeah, I think
we
that'd be a
can.
good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, or I mean, we could just make a poll too.
Yeah, I'm going to share the when to meet so that you can specify the hours that you are available.
Yeah.
And everyone can sort of see what's the best time.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that it will be it for today's meeting. We'll sort of have understanding what's everyone want to do. I will be doing more stuff. I will need to talk to Jacob as well. And yeah, maybe assist with more slides and examples all over the presentation. Yeah?
Yeah.
Great. That would be great if everyone can go over the paper before the next meeting. That'd be perfect, so that we have things to work with.
Yeah. That works.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay,
awesome.
thank you guys.
right.
Great ideas.
All right, thank you, Vlad.
Sure, Dennis. Bye.
Yeah.
All right,
See you.
see you.